everyone. Today we will discuss two topics. One is about Brisbane no short-term rentals in low density.
And the other one is about APRA cap, debt to income ratio of 6 or higher. What does it mean for the property market? And let's dive into it.
So Brisbane City Council has announced a major change to short-term rentals in low-density suburbs. Around 500 homeowners will receive letters telling them that they are unlikely to get a new short-term rental permit. Without the permit, they will be forced to shut down their Airbnb or any other short-term stay operation.
The rules are expected to kick in July next year, pending state approval. For many hosts, this is a significant shift, but it's also a chance to rethink strategy as Brisbane tries to balance tourism with livability. The penalties aren't small if you do not follow the rule. Anyone who keeps renting without approval could cope fines exceeding $130,000.
Wow.
And for those who do apply for permits, the conditions are tougher. 24/7 contact for complaints, clear enforceable house rules, public liability insurance that you need to make, and a 3-strike system. If you have 3 substantial noise or nuisance complaints, your permit can be cancelled.
Exactly. So we really need to be careful about these new rules. So basically, Queensland aligns with a national trend. In New South Wales, 180 days cap for the non-hosted rentals like Airbnb, the short-term rentals in Greater Sydney. In Victoria, 180 days cap, plus you've got 7.5% levy on stays under 28 days. In ACT, the 5% levy on short stays. So councils everywhere are tightening the rules to manage housing supply and the community expectations.
And this is where it bites. If you own a low-density property used for Airbnb, you need to assume that you might not get permit.
Exactly.
Or you need to run the numbers for long-term rental return as soon as possible. And with Brisbane vacancy rates near records low, long-term might actually be more stable and profitable.
That's right. If you still want the short-term rental income, focus on zones that allows it. So tourism or mixed-use areas will become the only safe bet. And also avoid buying any new short-term rentals-dependent properties until the final rules are confirmed by mid next year. So Karina, from the 1st of February next year, APRA will cap the proportion of the new home loan with a debt to income ratio of 6 or higher. Banks will only be allowed to issue up to 20% of their new lending at or above that level. That limit applies separately to owner-occupied loan and investor loans.
The number is actually very small, which is why APRA openly said this limit is not binding right now. So the current numbers are roughly 10 to 12% of the loans sits at that rate of 6 or above. For owner-occupied, it's even lower. Only a handful of banks are anywhere near the 20% ceiling, and that's mostly on the investors' lending side. Well, in other words, Australia is nowhere near the threshold where these rules bite.
Because APRA is trying to get ahead of the risk cycle. Interest rate has fallen, credit growth has picked up, and the investor activity is rising again. Historically, the combination turns into first higher household debt, bank stretching lending standards, and the pressure on property prices.
Yeah, so basically APRA doesn't want a repeat of those cycles, so they are putting a speed limiter in place before the roads get slippery.
Yeah.
So not in short term, and here is why. The limit is 20%, but the current rate of high debt ratio lending, it's barely half of that. Most lending is still in the debt to income ratio 3 to 5 range. Banks are not being forced to tighten their everyday lending criteria.
So basically the rule is more of a warning sign than an actual constraint. It is there to stop risky lending from escalating later, not to fix a problem happening right now.
That's right.
Yeah.
Owner-occupiers, you are barely affected. Most don't borrow anywhere near debt to income ratio of 6.
So for the investors, keep an eye on your DTI. If investor lending surges and your bank nears limit, and they might start prioritizing the lower risk borrowers. So that is not happening yet.
That's right. And for everyone else, business as usual. Lending standards remain stable, and APRA is signaling that the overall system is healthy. They just don't want compliances.
Yep.
This is about these two topics. If you have questions, please put them in the comments.
Yeah, and thank you so much for your company and all your support. And we will see you next time.
See ya.